Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode on X4. Today we're going to be talking about satellites. What are they used for, why are they useful, and how do we use them? So first things first, we've got a few sectors that we know. Well, as you can see, they're all blank in terms of the fog. We can't see any stations, we can't see anything in any of these areas, just as a bit of a setup. And this is kind of something you're going to have when you start the game off, so it's fairly accurate as to say we don't know what's going on. Now, you could get scouts, and you can get scouts scouting around and opening up these areas. You can start finding stations and stuff like that. But as you do, the information you have about said stations or ships and stuff like that gets old. Information gets old, and you lose track of what's going on. Why is that important? Well, the main part of this game is obviously earning credits, so you can build an economy up. You can't really do that with old information because the galaxy is quite a large area and a lot of things change quite quickly. Things such as trade offers. That's one main one. And the second one is when you want to try and build stations and stuff like that, you need builders. And right now, as you can see, I've got it open here as to what I can see. So I can see my own property, but the object list, pretty empty. So how do we improve that? Well, the best way to do it is satellites, because satellites are stationary objects and you don't need to keep ships in the system. And more often than not, satellites are overlooked and not destroyed by the enemy. However, they can be destroyed. They are an object in the system that can be targeted. However, generally they're left alone, and that means you've got fairly good, accurate intelligence. And like anything important, intelligence is right up there. It's the top one. You know, if you look at anything, intelligence is always the thing you need the most. So how do we go about getting them? Right, so somewhere in the system is a wharf. So I've got a few ships here just to fly around. So the first thing I'd do is I'd deploy my ships to do a little bit of a scouting mission. Obviously you might not be able to do it if you've not got any ships of your own. However, you can do this with your own ship, as in the one that you get at the start, and you can just autopilot it if you wanted, or you can fly around physically and you can just unlock a little bit of the area. Now we know in Argon Prime somewhere there's just a shipyard and a wharf. There's the wharf. So once you've got a wharf or an equipment dock, you can then take a ship, right click that ship, and you'll have upgrade repair at. You're going to need some credits for this. So that gives you your ship. Now, this ship is a highly advanced ship with components that we don't actually have access to, so you can ignore that, as I'm just using it so they fly around a little bit quicker. What we want is consumables here on the left hand side. We're going to head to consumables, and you've got an option of satellites and advanced satellites. Now, advanced satellites are your better ones. They are much bigger range. So the standard satellite is about 30 kilometers and the advanced satellite is 75 kilometers. But the price is ridiculous in difference. Starting out, obviously you're going to struggle with credits, so you might want to just use some standard satellites. However, as you start earning more credits, you might want to start using advanced satellites. That's a price difference. That's a hell of a big difference when you've got low credits and you're just starting out. I usually use a mixture of the two, and the reason being, some sectors you need less information. Some sectors you just want to know what's coming in and out of the jump gate, and some sectors you need to know as much as you can about it. So use the mixture of the two in places where you need to. Now, the main difference is the range in which they pick up information, and obviously the second difference is the advanced satellite is slightly stronger. So let's add these to the shopping list and I'll show you exactly what I mean. Let's confirm that order. So my ship's now going to go ahead, it's going to go and get repaired and basically put in some advanced satellites and some satellites in it. If you ever want to know anything about anything, you can go to your encyclopedia here. It's equipment, and then we want to go to satellites, and you've got an input for satellites and advanced satellites. So radar range 30 kilometers as mentioned, and the max hull integrity is 100 megajoules. Advanced satellite, 75km range with 150 megajoules. And if you look at what it says as a description, a static object used for observation. Once deployed, a satellite will pick up any communication sent and received by both ships and stations on open frequencies within a certain range. They are not one-use objects. The satellite can be deployed in one location, then deactivated and picked back up in a ship, then redeployed in a new location. So, if you realise actually I've got my coverage wrong and I want to move them around, deactivate it, pick it back up, put it somewhere else. Now, one thing to remember is if you are playing the game, you'll notice you keep getting messages from the AI. They'll be played over an open frequency like, hey, what are you doing? Why are you attacking me? And stuff like that. Now, some of them open frequencies you don't get, such as trades. The satellite will pick up on trades, so if something is required, then it will pick up on it. It will also pick up on missions as well, because some of them are sent out on open frequencies. So that's two things very important for us that a satellite will pick up on. So here's what I prepared earlier, my Ares. So right now everything is a nice bright blue colour. If our ships went out of the system, this would start go to a dull blue. I've mentioned this before in some of my previous videos. What that means is the information we have held about that station is old and not reliable. Now if I go here, and if you've watched my trade videos, you'll notice we have a trade route. You'll see I have nice fresh information about trades in this sector. However, I have nothing at all. You see no trades popping up here. I have no idea what trades are in this system. So there's a couple of things we want to do. Some ships hold trade information, they have trade computers, and they will deploy trade information in the sectors when they arrive to them. So, the first thing I want to do is I want to know what ships are flying in and out of the sector. As you can see, the grid system pops back up in a range that you can't see. You want a ship, there you go, disappears, gone. So we can't see the ship. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to drop myself a standard satellite. Just a standard one. I'm going to probably drop one on the other side as well. And that ship should deploy pretty quick. Because what that's going to give us now is a nice large area around here and around here for us to be able to see. You can see that where your ships are, you can see everything nice and clear. And the satellites do the same thing, except you don't need a ship there. The other thing to consider as well is the price of satellites versus the price of ships. Having a scout ship in a system doing nothing, just sat there like these are, like you could have them placed by stations and they can give you information, but it's a ship. It's got weapons and it also can fly around and do jobs for you. It's not ideal having them by stations. So our Ares is going to go ahead and drop a satellite in that sector. What it'll also do is it'll pick up on enemy ships. As you can see, we can see that enemy ship there. The same thing will happen once it deploys a satellite. So there you go. You see that information there? That is on an open frequency. So Xenon spotted and engaging. So what you're going to do is you're going to basically have an overview of the system and what's happening in it. So now we know that Xenon are in the Argon Prime system. There are places that will also give you missions. We've only got one mission at the moment, but some of these will drop missions every now and then, and they'll be picked up by satellites, as I've earlier mentioned. If we go to player information and messages, you also get these messages coming through. These are sometimes in open frequencies. You'll also get your logbook. Now this, 2 minutes ago, Antigone Republic mounting defense in second contact 2 flashpoint. That will have been picked up by ships flying past. This found lockbox, that's just information you find from yourself, but you'll notice there's news updates. Station under construction. These are picked up by ships flying past. It's kind of like a bit of a story mode behind everything, so what's going on. And second contact 2 flashpoint we know is just below Argon Prime. There it is. So ships are flying around and they're like talking to each other, coming through here, pick up on that traffic as they go past. And that's what your satellite's going to do. So, now a satellite has been deployed, you can now see that this grid here is not moving. My ship's moving, so technically it would be doing what the rest of them do, which is, as you can see, the grids kind of move around. Our ship's buggered off, but we've now got a clear view of the jump gate. We've also got a clear view of a construction vessel. So when you go building your stations, you now know there's a construction vessel in this area here. So if I'm building a station here and I scroll out and I go to finding construction ships like we have done when we built stations, in this list here, that's our property owned object list, we will find, let's zoom in a little bit, there we go, other ships, construction vessel. When you actually are building stations, this list is slightly different and it actually only shows you the construction vessels, so it's a little bit easier, but that's just to show you the information you have. Now if you remember before, we didn't have any of this information, we just had our own ships, so we're already populating information.
Awaiting orders.
We've got fresh trades, but you'll see we're now starting to get the greys that I was talking about. No information, because if I close this down, they're no longer in a sector to be seen, and we're not picking up on any ships. So to remedy that, we'll drop more satellites. So I'll probably drop an advanced satellite by the wharf and by the shipyard. They're important because a lot of traffic is picked up on the wharf and the shipyard, so you're going to get more information. Got another combat engineer coming through, but as you can see now, we're starting to pick up information a little bit easier because we've got satellites around. Same thing can be said in other sectors as well. As we start spreading out, you want to know information in these other sectors without having ships stay in the areas. Obviously, you first have to visit them so you know what's in them, but once you've done that, then you can start populating it with satellites. Now the way you do this is the best way to do it is if you actually find a jump gate in the sector, and all you need to do is just right click and press explore. You'll notice what it'll do is it'll go to the sector and it'll put this little bubble in here. I personally don't like using these because the ships are a little bit slow when they do it. However, when you're trying to find information about sectors, it's great just to get your ships in that sector, because you can pick a ship and you can just go, right, okay, I've got a spare ship here, explore. Okay, I need to find some more information. Right, let's get another one. Explore. And then we'll go through the jump gate, and then once they've gone through that jump gate, they'll be in the sector exploring. So they're doing something whilst you're busy doing whatever you're doing, and you can come back to them and actually cancel that order and go, right, okay, I want you to go here, 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 and here, and look for it and start deploying satellites in that system. So that's just a brief overview of satellites and what they do, and how important they can be as well. Now I just want to get our Ares that we have, and I'm just going to drop an advanced satellite in this system here, just so you can see the difference that it makes. And I'll place one here as well. And now this is something I would do in my game. I would actually do this because satellites are a great thing. Look, they're just sat there nicely. That's only 5,000 credits. It's not as expensive as a ship, you know, which is 300, 400, 500,000 credits. So it's just going to sit there nicely. And as you can see, I don't have to worry about putting my ships in places as well. They're done. So that Ares is going to go ahead and drop 2 satellites. Now, that satellite there will actually pick up the shipyard, but it should also pick up the jump gate as well. And you'll see the difference in the range that you have. And then we should have ships popping in the sector. There we go. So now we've got nice fresh blue locations. So again,
awaiting orders.
What I would do is this doesn't have any satellites. I believe the Reach one does, because I think that's the one I sent through, or is it?
Awaiting orders.
Oh, it's this one here. There it is. So this one's waiting. This one's waiting because we sent it to get updates. So what I would do is I would go. Well, actually, he can be busy doing whatever he's doing. I've got another jump gate here. Let's go ahead and deploy another satellite. I've got a location here. Let's go ahead and jump and drop another satellite in that sector there. And as it flies around, I generally have 2 ships doing 2 different jobs. So one will be scouting and looking for these locations, so you get in a view of what everything is, and the other one will follow behind and deploy satellites. This one's a great one. Look at this. We got a jump gate here. We already know there's an unknown object, but it's a highway, so there's a few things we can drop. So again, we can get our ship with satellites and go, right, well, there's a jump gate here. Let's go deploy a satellite here. We know there's a jump gate here, so we'll deploy a satellite here. This is the highway. Let's go ahead and drop a satellite here. Trade station, perfect. Let's get an advanced satellite here. Let's get some of the incoming traffic. Now, you do get trade computers on your ships, and that'll allow your ships to also update the trades as well as they're flying around. Satellites do a similar thing as well, so they keep your trade information going. But if we now look, just from doing them small things, we now get an image of what we have available. Again, we're losing information because we're out of range, but that's not a problem because we'll pick up on that if a trade ship goes past with a trade computer, and it'll update your satellite. But a lot more information is now garnered just from doing these small things, and we can leave our ships out of the sector. But if I now close down this trade route, you can now see the massive difference an advanced satellite does. If you click it, it'll give you its range. So if we click that one, and I believe if we that one, no, you can't collect them both. That's a shame. But you can see the difference between the two. Now the reason why I've placed an advanced satellite near that is because the traffic's going to be coming in and look at all this traffic here. We're going to be picking up any information that they have. So that's satellites in a nutshell. It's a little bit longer information because I want to make sure I cover everything about them. If you've got any questions or comments about satellites, or indeed about anything else with the game, please leave them in the comment section below, and I'll try and get back to you either via video or by just replying to your comment. But hopefully that gives you a reason why you use satellites and how you get them and how you deploy them. In case you are wondering, all you need to do is just you right click and it gives you the drop down for the orders, and that's where you find your deploy position civilian. The class is civilian because they don't have any weapon systems. That's the difference between the two. And there are other options obviously that you can get. If I get my areas, I'll show you. So you have these two at the moment because they're only the ones that are in your inventory, but there are things. The best way to show you is if I right click and repair, consumables, nav beacons and resource probes. They're the four that you have that are classed as civilian, because laser towers, mines and tracker mines are all classed as military because they're all offensive or defensive capabilities. So I hope that has given you enough information about satellites and why they're used. There is a debate whether or not they actually do update trades. I personally have always found that I have a lot more information about trades, and also what I've noticed is when I've used auto trading, they will actually wander off and find trades that I haven't known about, and I do believe that's because I've used satellites. You notice a massive difference between using them and not using them when it comes to advanced auto trading. Basic and local auto trading, not so much. It does definitely help because obviously you still got the sector to know about, but your ships generally are flying around a bit. You generally get good information, but it is still worthwhile having them because that information got old very quickly. Like these systems here, if we have a look, we won't know what these have. As you can see, they're grey, and that didn't take long at all. So hopefully that's helped. If you have found it useful, then please hit that thumbs up button. Let me know you've enjoyed it. Remember, you can subscribe to the channel and hit that bell notification to be notified when I do put more videos up. And hopefully they've been helping you play the game a little bit easier and getting involved. But until next time, everybody, take care for now, and I shall see you all on the next one. Bye bye for now.